The most hyped game on Solana right now is DeFi Dungeons. This is launching within a couple of days. But how do you even approach this game from a strategy point of view? How do you get the NFTs? How do you make money off the gold token in this game? We're going to cover that and more. This is brought to you from Longwood Labs. They were behind Remnants back in 2021. 2023, they had Play the Heist, and this would be the most successful game maker of idle games, I believe, probably in all of crypto, but definitely Solana. So let's dive in. Now, there's a huge amount of information I have. So I've got a screen over here with it, and I've got a whole lot of research that's put into here. We're going to go through it step by step. So starting off with the fact that the mint is whitelist only, or pre-sale was done last year in September. You would have missed out most likely on the pre-sale. And if you buy the pre-sale right now, it's going to be at a decent premium. So at the very end, I'm going to go over like what kind of prices I would pay for an NFT. But of course, this is a game. It's not financial advice. I think it's going to do really, really, really well. But, you know, you have to have a bit of your own judgment here. Nevertheless, mint schedule is Monday, March 31st, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be guaranteed whitelist phase, and then first come, first serve whitelist phase at 2 p.m. if there's anything left. And then a couple of days later, the game will begin. So let's find out where we get all this information from. The only information I have is the same information that you have, which is the docs.dungeons.game Git book, which is full of a huge amount of information. And we're going to go through each thing individually. So starting off with the fact that there's different hero types and classes. And this is very, very important because if you get a banker, then do not sell this at the floor price. You've got adventurers and bankers, and adventurers, they're your main gameplay characters. You've got warriors, as you can see, marksmen and mages. Warriors, they use plate armor. They're supposed to be great for beginners due to their durability. Mages use cloth and excel at magical damage output. Marksmen use leather armor and focus on ranged attacks. But when you actually go ahead and mint your NFT or buy an NFT, I'm not going to know which one's going to be the best one initially, but they're all basically equal. You can see there's 3,500 warriors, same with marksmen and same with mages. There's only one more warrior than the other two. Now, when it comes to the bankers, these will probably trade at a 10x premium potentially. And there's only 250 of these in the game, and they get a cut of all the gold. So this is a passive thing. You put them in there, you get the gold token. This game could do well for months and months potentially. It could have tens of thousands of daily active users, or at least weekly active users, which would be absolutely massive for crypto. For most players, you've got to focus on adventurers first to learn the game. Otherwise, you're going to be spending 10 times more to get a banker, and that's just not going to be worth it for many people. Now, how do you progress through this game? Your journey begins with quests, and specifically the quest master. Questing is how you earn dungeon keys and your first loot items. Quests, they're passive. You complete one per hour automatically, and you can claim your rewards at any time. The key strategy is to keep your heroes questing constantly if they're not doing something else. So quest, keep on questing. However, when you're not questing, you do want to go and upgrade your adventurer as well. And you do this in the training ground. So when not questing, work on your stats at the training ground. You need to level up because you can only get into the dungeons, which I'll cover shortly, if you've leveled up. Focus first, from my understanding and what I've kind of gone through, combat level preference stats. So power and vitality, these directly increase your combat level, which is calculated with a special formula, and combat levels determines your success in dungeons. So I'm going to prioritize this early, but when the game actually comes out, we'll go live in it as well. Then you've got a dungeon strategy. You go into the dungeons, and this is where you get the best equipment and the loot. This equipment, you know, Rare will help you gain more points, get you ultimately more gold. The end goal for all of this is more gold. You take that gold, you reinvest some in the game, you sell some, you LP some. That's basically how it works. You have to be mindful the whales will go in with $50,000 worth of gold. So just keep that in mind. Then what we have to do is in these dungeons, we have to start with the Forgotten Grove once you reach around combat level 20 to 30, because there are 5 dungeons here. You can see 5 dungeons with different levels of difficulty. In the top level dungeon, they have a death risk. So I will never enter this. I'm just not ballsy enough. But maybe you are. your hero can be permanently lost because you will transfer the NFT into the game. And if the random nature of winning in that final quest, the Crimson one, Crimson Halls, you could die. You could die, and this is more for the whales of people with like 50 or more NFTs. The risk is high, well, higher. There's a burn chance, but the potential rewards is high as well. So you will see whales and people that just like to degen and gamble go there, and that might be fun for you. And I get it. In which case, get amongst it. Then we've got the dungeon mechanics. Equipment increases your stats directly when you get into these dungeons. When you get into the dungeons, you're going to see a notice board that displays dungeon information, loot, the boss that you're going to battle, and a chest to claim your loot. And you see all these different equipment things that you can get by defeating, as an example, Forgotten Grove. Combat level has to be 20. The higher, the better the chance that you actually win. I don't know how long it will take to get to level 20. It would depend probably on gold, because you could just spend gold to get up there straight away, or you can just train to do it the slow way as well. Each time you jump into a dungeon, it's a 15-minute cycle. You jump in 15 minutes, you can do quite a few of them per hour, is what I expect. Now, once you get all the loot, you get the loot from the dungeons, perfect. You can actually go and sell that for gold. I thought you could sell it to other people on a open marketplace bazaar, but it's not. It goes to a loot exchange. So the loot exchange, it's a tavern's loot exchange. You convert your loot items to gold. The pricing model changes daily. Rare loot from higher dungeons is worth more gold. And the key strategy here is progress to higher dungeons as quickly as possible to earn more valuable loot. That's what I'm going to be doing, but maybe with a couple $1,000 worth of gold, not 50,000 like some whales. Look, you can still make money out of this game, I believe, and have a whole lot of fun by not paying very much, or just by playing in the game itself. So you got to keep that in mind as well. You don't have to compete with the big boys, the big whales, in order to have fun with this. You can also stake gold. I'm not going to suggest staking gold until I see what the lockup process on it is. Like if it's like an APR of like 30% and it's locked for 30 days, probably not going to do it. But you may want to put in some gold in there, but we'll have to cover that when the game is actually live. But maybe you can consider staking some excess gold once you've upgraded your core stats, especially if you see the game start to get more and more fun and more people join, then gold could be something that could appreciate. The previous Play the Heist tokens, they didn't necessarily appreciate hard, but they had a different launch structure, and I won't get into it, but maybe gold will probably do better. We'll have to see how it goes. Let's go over stats now. So there's 4 main stats: power, vitality, fortune, and luck. You can see it on the screen right now, but power increases your chance to kill bosses, vitality increases your chance to kill bosses, and reduces the chance of hitting negative events. A negative event is when you're in the dungeon and you don't get any gold, or you lose your armor items or something like that. Because every time you do something, there's not a full guarantee that you're going to get something. Sometimes you'll just wind up with nothing, or the chest will have a small amount of gold, and that's what that reduces. Fortune increases your chance to find equipment items, and luck increases your chance to find loot. So specifically, power and vitality is where I'm going to be going first, but sometimes it becomes so expensive to do power and vitality to go from, say, level 20 to level 22. 2 levels, you could probably go from level 1 to 8 with fortune and 1 to 8 with luck. And so it's better bang for buck to upgrade those potentially. There's also a talent tree, which means there's different avenues we can go to make your hero better and better. You earn 1 talent point for every 20 stat levels. And thus far, I recommend focusing on the power tree early on to increase your combat effectiveness. But if that changes, or if that's not what's the most workable in the game, then we'll work it out pretty quick, and then we'll reevaluate. We haven't had access to the game, like no one in the community as far as I'm aware. So we just have to wait and see where do we go. Each path specializes in 1 stat with powerful mastery abilities at tier 5. And there's probably going to be a decent amount of money to actually get there. Now, there is a referral system, so I'll have a referral link when the game goes live. And this is a great thing. Use my referral link, and if you're making content yourself, share your referral link with your friends. And if you're not, send them back to my videos. That would be cool. If we end up doing well with the referral system, then we'll organize some system to anyone that is one of my referees, they will like be raffled off like an NFT or something like that. We'll be able to probably track it, hopefully on chain. We'll have to see how that kind of goes. As a referrer, you earn 50% of your referees' marketplace fees and 5% of their gold spend. And as a referee, you get 25% reduced marketplace fees and discounted stat upgrades. So it does actually rely on this creator economy, which is perfect because Play the Heist did not have this. I'm not aware of any games that have had this. So you can't really empower the creators. Now let's go over the item vault. So this is where you manage your inventory regularly through the item vault. You quick equip feature lets you optimize your gear, and there's also different levels of rarity to items. So the rarer an item, I would probably sell that for gold, to be perfectly honest, if it was a decent price, and I'd go for something less. That's because I'm a smaller player. You can have some fun with higher things, like a legendary this or this if you want to. Just keep in mind when you go into the dungeon, sometimes you can lose your loot. So you just have to be mindful of that. That's how I'm expecting it to be this time. That's basically that. I did say that I'm going to give a bit of an idea when it comes to getting the actual NFTs, because a lot of you will not be on this, unfortunately. If you did manage to buy one pre-sale last year, perfect. If you like, you can go to like different servers where you can do peer-to-peer trading for like whitelist spots or whatever, that they're going for like $150 premium at least, like Exaserve server, which I don't have the link to anymore. But basically, you're probably best setting some bids on Tensor or Sniper.xyz or Magic Eden. So we can see that the mint goes live March 31st. I'm expecting the floor price because the actual cost, let me just find the cost. So the actual cost for one of these NFTs is $325. They were selling for $200 to around $250 or $275 last year in pre-sale. So they know they've got demand. They have proper demand here. They also raised $3 million from the gold sale. And most of that, like, I don't know what it was, but like 97% or thereabouts was taken out of liquidity pool. So they've got money to build out this game, and my expectation is they're going to try and make this really, really successful and bring in a lot of demand. So when you are trying to get one of these, we've got a couple of vectors which we can go with. We can set some lower bids, maybe around like 4 SOL, 3.5 SOL, not expecting them to actually fill. The only way they would fill is if FUD goes into the ecosystem, which is a common thing in crypto. People will mint and they'll sell it below what they minted, and I don't even know why, but it is how it is. Also, the team's responsive in Discord, but the actual, like when there's bugs or whatnot, it can take the team just working on it, and there's not necessarily someone trying to coordinate and keep the community completely in the know, which means the community can make up different FUD, which will also potentially move the floor price down. I don't see them sitting below 5 SOL for any length of time. I think 45 SOL for a banker or more would probably be likely, but I'm not going to go after the bankers. If you manage to get any bankers because someone just sells one at like 10 SOL or whatever, I think that would be definitely a buy. And just keep in mind that the game is launching on the 2nd of April, and it may have a few bugs when it launches as well, which could also be a buying opportunity. In the future, there's other cool stuff coming, like summoning, where we can summon heroes. I don't want to go into that now because it's coming in a future patch. Same with a guild. In the future, you'll be able to create your own clan and go into dungeons and fight stuff like that, like the big kind of RPGs. But this ultimately is an idle game. You could play it off and on, 5 times a day for 5 minutes each time, or you could play it just once a day or whatever you like. Personally, I'm really, really excited for it, like properly excited. I'm gonna do my best to cover everything in the game, and when the game launches, any questions, launch them below whatever video or live stream I'm doing, and I'll answer them. Thanks for watching. If you're not following me already on X, make sure you do that. That's where I'll be updating people live, but also on YouTube here as well, of course. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Check out these 2 videos over here.